The 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns, a team that took the NBA by storm and created a style that we see a lot today. Pick and rolls, a million three-pointers, wing players playing power forward. Now the architect off the floor of this was Mike D'Antoni, but on the floor it was Steve Nash, a franchise player, a necessity when it comes to building something that can truly be special. And when you're talking about a star player, a lot of it is on the court, but there's also the sense of marketability, selling out the arena. And the first question I have for you is, can Devin Booker be our version of Steve Nash? Can Devin Booker make Phoenix Suns fans excited for the future of this team? Is there anything to be excited about with the future of this team outside of him? Well, it's going to take us a while to really answer that question. We hope there is, that's why we're here today. But I'd like to believe that Devin Booker can get us going on the right foot, because he is a special talent, a special offensive player who I think can lead the league in scoring, but be one of the best players, period, and it's our job to get him to that level. But an important thing when it comes to building a team who can really be something for a long time is you need the second star. For those Suns, it was Amar'e Stoudemire, who you could argue was actually more talented than Nash, but he certainly was not as important. Stoudemire's athleticism, scoring ability, and I think that type of guy is a necessity now, because with so many high-powered offenses, you need guys who can make big shots. We need to find our version of Amar'e Stoudemire. Now, is that guy on the roster currently? Well, let's look at TJ Warren. Definitely has scoring potential, mainly from within the three-point line, and I'm very excited to embrace that style of basketball. I want to turn TJ Warren into the ultimate inside scorer. I'm talking mid-range jumpers, a million free throws, post-ups, all that stuff. Now, do I think he can be the second big-time player next to Devin Booker? Probably not. I think he has too many improvements that he needs to make. Next, you would look at Josh Jackson. There are a lot of things that I like about him. His playmaking ability, while it is in kind of its infancy stages, I think he could be someone who can make his teammates better, become a second or maybe a third ball handler for us. And his physical tools, I think he can fly up and down the floor, can throw down some exciting dunks, and should be something on defense. But when we're talking about that second guy who's going to show up in the highlight reel of SportsCenter night after night for, a 30-point game, that one could be kind of rough, because no one is scared of that jump shot from Josh Jackson right now. If he's sitting in the corner, teams are going to leave him open because the percentages are ugly from the three-point line, but also the free throw line. And I think free throws are a pretty good indicator of how good of a shooter a guy really is. And based on his current percentage of 60%, we've got some work to do with him. Now on the flip side, Dragan Bender should prove to be a pretty good shooter at the power forward position, which is something every NBA team could want nowadays. And he's got a lot of shooting guard abilities as a big man with his ball handling and all that. However, I don't know if he's ever going to be totally right physically for the NBA. He's a slim dude. He's only like 20 years old. He has a lot of weight and strength that he has to acquire. And who knows how long it's going to take with him. Now, Marquise Chris, from a physical standpoint, I would say is a little bit more ready for the NBA right now, as he can go up and dunk on someone's head, and I think he has potential as a rim protector and someone who can grab offensive rebounds. But when it comes to the talent department, shooting and dribbling, not really the kind of power forward I would love to have in today's league. We have a new point guard, Elfrid Payton, who we saw in the Orlando Magic MyGM not too long ago. I think he's fine. If you put him with some shooters, I think he can be a decent enough playmaker for you. But we should definitely not expect him to become Devin Booker's right-hand man, but a solid point guard nonetheless. But he still has some things to work on, namely the jump shot. So, it's a little dry for Devin Booker right now. Also, before we get into more stuff, what do you think about the arm sleeve with the knee pad things? We can't have our star player with no accessories. It just doesn't look good. I think it hurts the merchandise sales, which doesn't matter in the video game, but I'm going to make that joke anyway. Let me know what you think about that one. But anyway, if we want to get a second star next to Devin Booker, it's got to be through the NBA draft, which means we got to gear up the tank right now And let's look at some potential prospects. There's Michael Porter Jr., who's garnered comparisons to Kevin Durant because of his size, ball handling, shooting, and ability to play both power forward and small forward. Someone who could be a great offensive 1-2 punch with our shooting guard. There's Luka Doncic. I think has potential as a point guard, and we could potentially put him over there and have him be our playmaker so Booker can focus on scoring, but Doncic should be pretty damn good of an offensive player overall himself. The only fear would be how athletic he is. Now there is Marvin Bagley, who, speaking of that Magic series, we did draft, so maybe we wouldn't want to do that one, but just in terms of basketball decisions, it could end up being the best one, because you could argue that he is the most two-way of players towards the top of the draft, because most of these guys seem to veer towards one side, whereas Bagley, because of his athleticism and skill set as a power forward slash center, I think it's fair to say that he does have some Anthony Davis in him, and who wouldn't want to have that, you know? Now there's another big, DeAndre Ayton, who was in the Knicks series, but this time around he actually looks like himself. So maybe that would be enough for us to draft him and it wouldn't feel like we were doing the same thing. I don't know. I mean, the dude seems like he's just going to dominate on both sides of the basket. Dunks, rim protection, offensive rebounds, and he's also shown some decent offensive skills in terms of a jump shot and some ball handling as well as some post-up abilities. Now perhaps we want to go all defense because in case you haven't heard, this Phoenix team at one time was like historically bad on defense, mainly to start the season. Mo Bamba could be the answer there because he's nearly 7 feet tall, he's pretty athletic, and he has some insane wingspan. Now offensively, you might not get too much with him. He's definitely a lower pick compared to these other guys. Maybe we want to go all offense and just forget about defense and go with Trae Young and just have him and Devin Booker shoot like 20 3-pointers a game and then decide, you know what, 7 seconds or less all over again. We're going all offense and we're going to score 150 points every night. Who knows, maybe that's the way to go about this whole thing. By the way, we have a second first-round pick from the Miami Heat from the Goran Dragic trade. So we will have a selection probably around the 20s, so there's a chance that we could get ourselves 2 good players in the first round, and we need all the draft picks we can get. So, here's the thing, we suck. And there's not really a clear thing in sight here outside of Devin Booker, I would say. Some guys to be excited about, no doubt, but I don't think it's a shoo-in that all these guys are going to work out here. So we really need to hit a home run in the draft, but until the draft comes up, we have to build good qualities now in terms of playing young players and running the right plays and all that stuff. So we'll get started after this video. About 30 games left to go in the season, but Devin Booker's he's good. He's really good. And I expect big things from him in this. And now the question is, or the objective is, just build the team around him. The journey starts now, and hopefully we don't screw this thing up.